Welcome back, Dragon Riders, to my House of the Dragon breakdown series for Season 3. Once again, as stated in the previous video, there will be spoilers for everything in this episode and any projects leading up to this episode, including lore from House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. So the second episode dropped last night, so without further ado, let's get into it. Picking up where we left off, this episode titled Queen's Landing begins with the aftermath of the Battle of the Gullet. Jacaerys Velaryon has just been killed, and Baela and the survivors of the Blacks take his body back to Dragonstone. We then see Rhaenyra gaze upon Jace's body and grieves for her son, but then she doubts the loyalty of her kin and everyone in Dragonstone. We then cut to Alan, who is searching for Lord Corlys, who is nowhere to be found. Over in the Vale of Arryn, Rhaena and Sheepstealer are before Lady Jane Arryn. Rhaena begs Jane for asylum, but is turned away after word of her as a traitor and deserter has spread throughout the land. We then cut to Daemon and his army throwing a party with their victory over Jason Lannister, only for Daemon to find out that Jace has been killed and must return to Dragonstone. Before departing with his dragon Caraxes, he encounters Alice Rivers, who wants compensation for aiding Daemon at Harrenhal, which Daemon dismisses, as, I mean, come on, like, she's demanding a castle, like, bro. Baela flies back on Moondancer to meet Alan, still searching for Corlys. Alan then asks Baela about his father, being that Corlys is her grandfather. She replies with only good things to say about him. Adam then arrives on Seasmoke to find Corlys by the shore. We then cut to Aegon and Larys, who argue about what happened, with basically Larys doxing Aegon, only for the convoy to be raided, allowing Aegon and Larys to escape. We then see Corlys, Baela, Alan, and Adam looking at the damage, and Corlys says to Adam and Alan that they are worthy of carrying the Velaryon name, to which Alan responds by saying that the gesture that he just gave him is worth more than all the gold in the world. Back in King's Landing, Alicent is scrambling to find Commander Largen of the Goldcloaks, knowing that Rhaenyra is coming for the Iron Throne. She sneaks into the men's locker room. Yeah, you heard that right. Anyway, after finding Largen, she tells him that by the authority of the Queen, Helaena, given that the Prince Regent is absent, to stand down and allow Rhaenyra to enter the Red Keep. We then cut to Daemon meeting Hugh and Ulf and reprimanding them for disobeying Rhaenyra's orders to wait for Vhagar at Harrenhal. Daemon then has a brief conversation with Mysaria about her motives with the Blacks, only to be interrupted by the Maester Gerardus that Vhagar has been sighted leaving King's Landing for Harrenhal. Now Daemon visits Rhaenyra in her chambers and attempts to console her from her agony of losing her sons Jace and Luke, and tells her that he believes in Aegon the Conqueror's dream, citing that he sees a future where a Targaryen with 3 dragons shall claim the Iron Throne, that being Daenerys and her dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. Meanwhile, Alicent is seen packing to leave King's Landing, only to encounter Lord Jasper Wilde at the door. As Jasper attempts to assault her, Orwyle witnesses his brutish behavior and has the guard throw him in the dungeon. Rhaenyra prepares to depart for King's Landing after Alicent's word of the surrender reaches Dragonstone. Along with Daemon and her for the journey are Hugh and Ulf. Now Daemon instructs the both of them to follow orders and not to improvise or get any ideas like last time. It is then that we see Syrax, Caraxes, Vermithor, and Silverwing depart for King's Landing with their riders. Back in King's Landing, Alicent tells Helaena to prepare to flee the Red Keep with her daughter, Jaehaera. Together, they tell the guards to stand down and allow Rhaenyra to enter the Red Keep with her dragons. Over at Sir Criston Cole's camp, he and his men spot Vhagar flying over to Harrenhal, which Vhagar burns completely to the ground. After killing all of the guards in the halls, Aemond makes his way to find and kill Daemon, only to find and kill Sir Simon Strong and his sons, Paxter and Germond. Aemond then realizes that he's bleeding and begs for help at the foot of Alice Rivers, who happens to be there.
Kowalski, analysis.
All evidence indicates.
Rhaenyra and her riders over at King's Landing enter the castle to find that some of the guards did not agree to the surrender. Said guards then die by Daemon's hand as Rhaenyra makes her way to the throne room. As the last of the King's Guard, led by Sir Rickard Thorne, make their final stand against Rhaenyra, they are then interrupted by Sir Luther and the City Watch, who are loyal to their commander, Daemon Targaryen, from the first season. Daemon then orders for the detainment of any greens in the castle bearing the Hightower sigil. As he marches with his men to Aegon's chamber, only Orwyle is present. He then surrenders immediately and pledges fealty to Rhaenyra. Alicent and Helaena attempt to flee King's Landing, looking for a way out, only to be spotted very quickly. Daemon visits the dungeons to find and tell Jasper from his cell that Orwyle has offered him up for execution as Rhaenyra claims the throne. He is then informed of a second prisoner for execution, a gift from Larys. As Daemon approaches this second cell, he sees the prisoner in question and begins to laugh. Yeah, this part's pretty hysterical because it turns out this prisoner is Otto Hightower himself. Daemon then tells Rhaenyra that in order to legitimize her claim to the throne, she must be the one to execute Otto, and she does, with Daemon doing the same to Jasper shortly after. Immediately after she sits on the throne, Alicent and Helaena have been captured, and Alicent looks at Rhaenyra in horror after she's witnessed her father killed at the hands of Rhaenyra. And that is the end of episode 2. Overall, I say for this episode, it's definitely a bit more philosophical and we see less action, but it's still just as substantial as other episodes. The scales have been tipped in the favor of the Blacks, as opposed to the Greens in previous seasons, now that Rhaenyra is on the Iron Throne. And in doing so, the Blacks pretty much have total control over the realm, while the Greens don't really have any cards to play. The two exceptions in the Greens' favor, though, have to be Aemond at Harrenhal, who is unaware of what's happening at King's Landing. The second exception is the Hightower army that are currently preparing for battle, with Daeron Targaryen on the back of the Blue Queen, Tessarion, his dragon. But 2 dragons, even though one of them is Vhagar, is not going to be enough to stop Rhaenyra's force with her 6 dragons. So it all comes down to this, and pretty much both sides are preparing for war, at least with the Hightower army, they are going to be the ones fighting Rhaenyra's forces. And we'll finally see Daeron the Daring in action on his dragon. And rumor has it this dragon does breathe blue flames. And with that, that concludes the second breakdown for Season 3 of House of the Dragon. Let me know what your favorite part was for this episode. Do you have a favorite character? Or a dragon, perhaps? Definitely leave a comment below. And be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to get future updates on this channel about movies, TV shows, or any updates on House of the Dragon. And with that, I'll see y'all next week when the next episode of House of the Dragon premieres.